Hi everybody! Welcome to this short informational video on the subject of childhood sexual abuse and preventative strategies for parents and caregivers. As parents and caregivers, we do our best to teach our kids all sorts of ways to keep themselves safe. We teach them not to touch hot stoves, we teach them to look both ways before they cross the street. But more often than not, body safety is not talked about or even thought about by parents until sometimes it is too late. It can be uncomfortable and even scary to think about childhood sexual abuse, and most of us would rather not think or talk about it because we don't believe it'll ever happen to our kids. What is really scary, however, is the fact that in Australia, 1 in 5 kids will experience sexual abuse before they turn 18. To put this in perspective, if your child attends a primary school with a class of 25, 5 of those kids will become sexual abuse victims before they finish high school. The great news is that for the most part, childhood sexual abuse is preventable, and there are a number of steps that we can take as parents and caregivers to protect our kids. By educating and empowering ourselves and our kids, we can minimize the risk of harm and make our families and communities a safer place for all children. There are many myths surrounding childhood sexual abuse, and educating ourselves about the reality is the first step to building empowered families and communities that can work together to prevent this crime. Let's talk about some of the most common myths that many people believe about childhood sexual abuse. Myth number 1. Childhood sexual abuse is rare. Fact. Unfortunately, it is very common, and as I mentioned before, 1 in 5 kids will become victims of this crime before they turn 18. To break it down further, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will become victims of childhood sexual abuse, and this is only what is reported. The actual figures are estimated to be much higher. Myth number 2. Teaching kids to be safe around strangers prevents childhood sexual abuse. Fact. In up to 90% of cases, the abuser is well known, trusted, and even loved by the child and their family, and have easy access to the child. Myth number 3. You can generally spot a child abuser. The tricky thing is that child abusers look and act like normal, healthy, and productive people of any age. And in fact, 1 out of 4 sexual abuse crimes are committed by someone under the age of 18. Child abusers are able to commit the crimes that they do because they already have a trusting relationship with the child and their family, and at some point take advantage of this trust. Myth number 4. Sexual abuse isn't really that harmful, and kids will get over it. Fact. Adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse are more likely to abuse alcohol and drugs, suffer from anxiety and depression, and attempt suicide. Childhood sexual abuse has long-reaching negative impacts on the survivor's life and well-being, which some never fully recover from. Myth number 5. Children lie and make up stories about being abused. Fact. Unfortunately, 98% of childhood sexual abuse allegations turn out to be true. While these facts are pretty sobering, there are plenty of simple things that you can do today to protect and empower your kids, which we will talk about next. Teach your kids about body autonomy and consent at an early age. Child abusers take advantage of the fact that children are taught to obey adults, and many children fall prey to abuse because they think they'll get into trouble for saying no. Body autonomy is the idea that no one has a right to touch your body without your consent, and it is important to teach your kids that they have a right to choose who touches them and how. The greeting menu method is a simple way that you can start to teach your kids that they are in charge of their own body and that their consent matters. When saying hello or goodbye to any adult or older child, give your kids a choice from the greeting menu, which includes a high five, fist bump, handshake, or saying hello. Over time, this teaches your child that they can always choose the level of physical contact that is comfortable for them, and that they are in charge of deciding what is best, not the adult. Never force your child to kiss or hug an adult, as this teaches them that it is not okay to say no, and that not hurting an adult's feelings is more important than keeping themselves safe. Another way that you can teach your kids about body autonomy is to play tickling games with your kids, but to actually stop when they say stop. When you are tickling your kids, always stop if they say no or stop and take a mini break. Then you can ask, would you like me to keep going or stop completely? Your child then has the opportunity to ask for more tickling or to say that they have had enough. By doing this, you are teaching your kids that they will always be listened to when they say no to being touched, and that they are in charge of what's okay for them and not the adult. Body talk. As soon as your kids are old enough to understand, which is roughly 3 years old, teach your kids that some body parts are private and that other people can't see or touch these parts. Explain that it's okay for you to see them naked whilst they are getting in and out of the bath, for example, but that other people can't ask to see them naked, take photos of them whilst naked, or show them photos or videos of other naked people. Teach kids from an early age to use the correct anatomical word for private parts of the body, rather than using slang words. Most parents use the correct word to name other body parts, such as arm or foot. However, they are reluctant to use the correct word for genitals with their kids. However, by using a slang name to avoid the proper word actually teaches our kids that these body parts are taboo and that it is wrong, dirty, or embarrassing to talk about them. This is a problem because if someone does ever touch them inappropriately, they might feel like it'll be too embarrassing if they tell you and will avoid telling you in the first place. Safe versus unsafe touching. Teach your kids how to tell the difference between safe and unsafe touch. This begins with teaching kids about body parts that are safe or unsafe for other people to touch. A fun way to teach kids about these parts is to use a traffic light color system. For example, parts like hands are green to go and are normally safe to touch. Body parts like knees, neck, and shoulders get a yellow light and might be a sign to slow down, as this could lead to unsafe touching. Body parts such as the buttocks, mouth, or genitals get a red light and touch needs to stop straight away. Reassure your kids that it's okay for parents to touch red light parts if they need to be cleaned after toilet trips or if a doctor needs to whilst you're in the room with them, but that you will always ask their permission first and that they always have the right to say no. Also teach your kids that safe and unsafe touch can feel different. For example, safe touch has a happy and friendly feeling, whereas unsafe touch can make you feel nervous, scared, or give you an uh-oh feeling. For example, a brief hug might make them feel nice and happy, whilst a prolonged hug might give them an uh-oh feeling. Teach your kids to listen to their feelings and to trust themselves if they feel like touch isn't safe. Avoid using terms like good and bad touch, as this can be confusing because sometimes it feels good to touch certain body parts, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe. Body secrets. One of the most common ways that abusers prevent their victims from disclosing abuse is by using secrecy and threats. Sexual abuse victims almost always believe that the abuse is their fault and that they will get into trouble if they tell you. Some common things that survivors say that they were told by their abusers are: if you tell anybody, you'll get into big trouble. If you tell anybody, then we won't be able to play anymore. If you tell anybody, they won't believe you. Have a no body secret policy in your house. Teach your kids that people who might try to touch them in an unsafe way will most likely try to touch them when no other grown-ups are around because they'll want to keep it a secret. Teach your kids that no one, no matter who, can ask them to keep a body secret. Teach your kids that anyone who tries to touch them in an unsafe way might try to make them keep a body secret. Reiterate to your kids that they will never get in trouble if they tell you about unsafe touching, and to tell you straight away if someone tries to make them keep a body secret. Let your kids know that you will always believe them if they tell you about unsafe touch or body secrets. With all of this body safety training, it's important to remember that starting early and talking frequently about these things is key to helping your kids and build these skills. Parents often delay talking about bodies because they think it's inappropriate when they're very young, but this actually leaves your kids more vulnerable to abuse. So talk to your kids often, in a matter-of-fact way, so that they learn it's normal and safe to talk about their bodies with you, and that they don't have to feel shy or embarrassed. Answer any questions that your child has about their body, and remember, Your child will only be as comfortable as you are when it comes to body talk. So relax and make it as normal as possible in your family. Child abuse can sometimes occur after a period of grooming, which involves building trust with a child and making them feel safe and comfortable before any inappropriate touching even begins. Once the child feels safe, the abuser may try to test their boundaries with accidental touching, or by asking them to keep small secrets, such as "Don't tell your parents I bought you sweets." After they've seen that it's okay to cross small boundaries, the abuser may progress to increasingly more abusive behavior. However, while grooming is common in child abuse, many times abusers simply take advantage of random opportunities when they are alone with your child. In cases of both opportunistic abuse and grooming, one way that you can minimize opportunities for abuse is by being upfront with anyone who'll be spending time with your kids about the fact that your kids are educated on body safety and body secrets. This makes any potential abuser aware that your child will not be an easy target and will most likely think that the risk to themselves will be too high to initiate any inappropriate contact. This can feel really awkward or uncomfortable to bring this up with other people because, of course, we don't want to offend our friends and family by making them think that we suspect them of child abuse. The fact is, most people don't abuse kids and do genuinely want to protect them. So think of this as an insurance policy, rather than a blanket statement that suspects all people of child abuse. If you're still worried about making people uncomfortable, it's important to remember that enduring 5 minutes of discomfort could potentially save your child from a lifetime of suffering and mental anguish that they may experience as a result of sexual abuse. Most adults who genuinely want to protect children would welcome feeling momentarily uncomfortable in exchange for the safety of the children in their community. So don't be afraid of bringing up safety talk with other adults. The more times you practice saying this to people who have contact with your kids, the less awkward it will become, and by doing this consistently, you are actively contributing to creating a child-safe culture in your own community. While we can take every possible precaution to protect our kids, we also need to know what to do if they tell us about abuse. The most important thing that we can do when a child discloses abuse is to believe them and trust them when they felt like something wasn't right. It's important to remember that children rarely lie about this, so if your child tells you about abuse, remain calm. Don't panic and force details from your child. This could make them think that they're in trouble and might cause them to shut down or regret telling you. Thank your child for sharing the information with you and reassure them that you believe them. Comfort them if they're distressed. Contact the relevant child safety authorities to report the abuse. Please refer to the resource list at the end of this video. Remember, a child may only disclose small pieces of information at a time until they feel reassured that you are calm and supportive. If you have any concerns about the safety of a child, or if they tell you about sexual abuse, the following organizations can offer you guidance and support. Child Safety Services on 13Q.gov. Child Safety After Hours Services on 1-800-177-135. Your local police station about criminal matters relating to child sexual abuse. ChildWise National Help Abuse Prevention Helpline on 1-800-991-099. Bravehearts Helpline on 1-800-272-831. Bravehearts is Australia's leading child protection organisation working holistically to prevent childhood sexual abuse and exploitation. They offer many services such as counselling for abuse survivors, training and resources for parents and teachers, and a toll-free helpline that can provide you with advice if you are concerned about the safety of a child or what to do if a child has disclosed abuse. Remember, if a child is in immediate danger, please call 000. For additional resources and information on childhood sexual abuse, please visit the Braveheart website. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and thank you for making the commitment to making this world safer for all children. We hope that this video has provided you with some new knowledge and skills that you can use to help protect the children that you know and love in your family and communities. If you have found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up or leave us a comment in the comment section below.